Greetings, fellow Terrans. Professor McKee here with a tutorial for Terra Invicta. We finance professors have hobbies, and one of mine is playing Terra Invicta. I'm creating a collection of tips I've learned while playing this game in case you want to have a study break. Today's guide is about what traits are good in counselors and when those traits are good. It's hard to find the perfect counselor to recruit, so you'll have to make a judgment on what to do, but hopefully this will help you when you are evaluating your candidates. And while traits are not the only important characteristic, their class, their age also matter. Having good traits give you significant mechanical benefits or detriments if they're a bad trait. Alright, so let's get started with the traits here. So for the very early game, here are some good traits to look out for. First of all, there is the XP reduction ones. So quick learner and then striver give 20% or 30% experience point reduction. So it'll cost 16 or 14 to level up a stat instead of 20. So these are obviously good. It gets the character leveled up faster, so their stats get higher faster. The reverse of these is inflexible. That's a 20% penalty, which is bad, but you can remove an inflexible with a level up, so it's really just a 22 XP penalty, which again, not great, but it's not so bad that you would never want to pick someone like that. If there's really, really good traits and inflexible, you still might want that counselor. So next, because the game starts with a mad scramble to pick up the neutral control points, you'll need to use Control Nation for that, and you also need to do public campaigns in order to increase your Control Nation success chances. If you have traits that improve persuasion, this is going to be particularly useful. And one nice thing about these conditional traits that improve persuasion is that the conditional bonus on persuasion can break your cap. So if you had persuasion of 25, the conditional bonus would put you above 25 when she here is doing a mission. So National Hero, that gives +3 persuasion when in the home nation. So if the counselor is from China or from the United States, because those are the two large countries you're usually have a hard time getting into, that gives you 3 extra persuasion. There's also family ties, which, that gives you +1 persuasion again when you're in the home nation. So it's kind of a lesser version of National Hero. The Opinion Leader, Media Darling, and Elder Statement Chain also give conditional persuasion. One of these has it. Yes, here. So this is the Media Darling version of it. So it's 2 persuasion for Opinion Leader, 3 for Media Darling, and then 4 for Elder Statement. And if you have at least a government score of 6, US has that, all the European Union countries have it. And then there's the Counselor and Unifier chain, which, another one, yes, she has Counselor. So 1 persuasion for Counselor, 2 persuasion for Unifier. And this is only given if cohesion's above 6. China starts with high cohesion at the game start, so this would give you a +1 or +2 for going for China, as well as some other countries that start with higher cohesion. There's a few other ones that are also giving benefits here. So Firebrand Demagogue is a little bit more mixed in terms of the persuasion bonus, but if you have going for a low education country or low cohesion country, you're going to have a net gain. But if you have a high education country, then you're not doing that, and it's not as beneficial. And then just I'll note here, if you have Pariah, Enemy of the State, or Non-Grata, which I think no, I don't think any of these have those. But those all limit your ability to perform missions. And so if you have a character and based on their home country, they're not going to be able to run missions in US or China or in the European Union, that's going to be a problem. You probably don't want that character even if they have other good traits. Okay, so those are the conditional bonuses. And those apply very early game. Next, we have resource production. So there are characters with traits that produce resources for you. And again, this is valuable early game because influence, money is very tight. You don't control many countries, so you don't have a lot of popular support. You just don't have as many resources. And so if the counselor gives you 12 influence a month because he's a megastar celebrity, that's going to be a lot of extra influence to work with in the early game. So there are the eminent, famous, and megastar chains. They all give you monthly influence, 6, 9, or 12. This guy here has the highest level of it. And when your monthly influence is going to be less than 50, which is what is going to be in the early game, an extra 12 is really nice. Now later on, this becomes a bad trait because note that it's -8 espionage when being detected. These guys will be detected all the time. And you can't even go to ground if you have Megastar to protect that character. So these guys are easy to kill, although this one has Martyr and Beloved. So the AI might be unwilling to go and Untouchable. Wow, this guy is really hard to assassinate. It would be incredibly dangerous to go after him. But if the AI hates you enough, they might actually try for it. Oh yeah, so the opinion leader, where's the opinion leader again? Media Darling chain. They also give you a monthly influence benefit. They also have that espionage penalty, which can be a detriment later on. Billionaire and Rich gives you money and influence. Billionaire is 40 money and 2 influence, and 40 a month early on is a lot. There is a potential conditional persuasion penalty if you have low inequality. So just keep in mind that could hurt you if you're using that character for persuasion, which celebrity you probably are. Rich is sort of a lesser version of that billionaire. You get less money and influence. The persuasion penalty is smaller too. There's also crew, which gives you +1 monthly influence for operations. It's pretty hard to get operations income early in the game. You'll basically have to either have crew or you equip some. A lot of times it's going to be government orgs that give you monthly income for operations. Eventually you'll be able to build marine modules in space and those will generate ops. But otherwise, crew is going to be a nice way to get a little trickle of ops income. You need 5 ops income every time you investigate alien activity. And you need ops income to assassinate an alien or detain the alien or investigate the alien so you can do the assassination or detention. So ops income is nice to have too. All right, next one is government and criminal. Let me find one that is government. Here we go. So government and criminal are traits that don't do anything directly, but they allow the character to equip orgs. In the case of government, you're allowed to equip government orgs. If you have a criminal, academy doesn't really have criminals. You're allowed to equip criminal orgs. And this is really good because there are a lot of good orgs that are restricted to government only or criminal only. Maybe eventually I'll probably make a video on what kinds of orgs you want to target. These are 2 types of orgs that are good to have access to. Just a couple examples. There's only 2 orgs in the whole game that will give you access to Purge. They're both government. Assassination, that's a pretty rare mission type to get access to through an org. A lot of criminal and government orgs can give it to you. There's not a lot of non-criminal and government orgs that could give you that assassination mission. And there's some other great orgs as well. I'm not going to go into all of them, but the reason that they're good is because they let you get access to some excellent orgs. Now you can upgrade Councilor to have one of them. Let's see if I can. Nope, not her. He already has government. He already has government. He can't. He can't either. Oh no, yeah. So you can upgrade to government. You could also upgrade to criminal, but he's not going to be able to do that. So you don't absolutely have to have it when you are doing the recruitment. However, just do keep in mind that these traits are mutually exclusive. So if you have any trait that is in the same group as government and criminal, which includes government, criminal, pariah, national hero, and enemy of the state, you can't have more than one of those traits. And yes, obviously, government officials can commit crimes. But they usually aren't a mafia boss and also a government official simultaneously. And that's kind of the idea that if you're a government, you're working as a senior member of a government. That's why you have access to government orgs. Or if you're a criminal, you are a senior member of organized crime, and that's why you can seize control over elements of organized crime. It's also probably a game balance sort of thing. Okay, so next one, there's a couple of traits that give just raw stats that are useful early on. So demanding, you get 2 + 2 admin + 1 command. Both, that gives you 3 extra control point capacity. 2 admin gives you 2 extra org spots to equip on. There's also technocrat, which I don't have in my recruitment pool right now. That gives you some influence. It gives you some research income. It gives 3 admin. It gives 1 science. It gives a 5% science bonus on social science, and it only has a 1 persuasion penalty in low education countries. Technocrat's really good, and it gives you a whole bunch of different little things, like little bit of influence income for early on. It gives you some extra stats early on. It gives you a science bonus. And its persuasion penalty isn't really that bad, especially if you're going for high education countries like US, European Union. And that leads me to the science traits. There is a scientist trait for all of the research categories, well, not for xenology, but all the standard ones. So like this astronaut here has doctor. So she gives a 15% bonus to life science research. This can be upgraded twice. The max level for it is chief, whatever, and it gives you 35% bonus. There's also a bonus to science and income, but I mean, by the time you have enough XP to level them up twice, those things are not quite so important. Now, the reason this is really good is because the bonus from the counselors is a separate soft cap category. So I have a senior physicist giving a 35% bonus to energy. I have another 35% for my orgs. I have a 50% for my hab modules. I have an extra 35% just because of that science trait. And a 35% bonus, or 25 or 15%, is pretty nice. And as I said, there's one of these traits for each of the types. So there's doctor. I had another one in here. Yeah, so she's got astronomer, which is the first level for the space science. And he's got physicist, which is the first one for energy. These are all really nice to have. And then there's one other one, innovative. This gives you an extra 10% increase on your chance to unlock new projects. So if you go to the tech tree and so like plasma drive, it's currently at 84%. If you added another counselor with innovative, it would go up to 94%. So you're much less likely to miss out on important technologies for projects if you have those kind of bonuses. Now, typically, when you are getting the science trait, you're going to be stuck with classes that don't give you much in the way of mission. So the scientist here, she can't really do very much. I mean, she can produce science for you, and she can advise. That's about it. That's one reason why astronauts are kind of good. A lot of people like astronauts because they will typically have a science trait, but they will tend to have better mission spread. They'll be useful for either persuasion or command focused counselors. And they also give you a nice bonus to your science production. And maybe I'll probably make a video on classes too. But that's one reason why a lot of people like astronauts. Now, as the game progresses, the value for these traits changes. All of the resource output ones, so where is he? Yeah, Rich, Megastar. The resource output from these doesn't really help you very much because I have tons of influence production later in the game. A lot of this is from my habs. I have tons of money income from my habs as well as from my countries I control. So you don't need resource production. Also, the conditional persuasion is less valuable too because you've broken in. You're going to be able to boost someone up to 25. You'll be able to boost public opinion. You won't need the conditional bonuses as much anymore, at least for persuasion, because control nation won't be happening very often. And public campaign isn't really that important either. And some of these traits give you big penalties to detection, which means they're very vulnerable to being attacked by hostile factions. So there's ones that give you negative espionage. National Hero gives you -1 security in your home nation. So he's already got, his security is already really low. It's even worse if he goes into China. Government and criminal, those will maintain their usefulness throughout the game. Those orgs are useful all the way through the end game. And the science traits, those just get more and more important as time goes on because research is always important. And by the end, research is kind of the only thing you care about for your counselors. Within those science traits, social science is especially good early game because there's a bunch of early game social science techs you want. Energy science, well, there's all these super late game energy research that you'll be doing for your late game drives. They're very expensive. And a bonus on energy is going to be really nice there too. The life science bonus, the doctor ones, life science is kind of the least useful because, well, there's just not that many techs that use life science. It doesn't mean it's bad. This is still a great trait to have. It's just it's not as good as one of the other science traits. In the end game, Striver and Quick Learner, they're less useful, or kind of not useful at all. There's a bunch of techs that give new counselors XP. There's cybernetics, which upgrade your counselor's levels. You're going to have a big stable of orgs to slap on that counselor when you hire them. And since there's just not that much time left, leveling up faster doesn't get you very much. It's nice to have, but it's not super important. Technocrat, demanding, they fall off too. In my opinion, especially demanding because there's a loyalty penalty if you have a critical failure, which will sort of accumulate over time. Technocrat, it's got that 5% social science bonus, so that'll always make it useful, even though the resources from it are not so important. All right, so the next time you go over your counselor's resumes, keep an eye out for the traits I've walked you through. They aren't the only thing that matters, but they're pretty important. If you found this video helpful for your study break, please comment, like, and/or subscribe so that others can find this video too. Happy not studying or recruiting counselors to fend off an alien invasion.